Hello, magic makers, and welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about some completely legitimate reasons to self-publish. There's definitely still a stigma associated with self-publishing and indie publishing. I have seen it on Reddit, I've seen it on Facebook, I've had people to my face tell me that I'm not a real author because I had to self-publish. I'd like to do away with some of that very toxic commentary right here and now, because on this site, and in my mind, however you manage to get art out in the world is valid and real and genuine and legitimate. Self-publishing because you can't get a book contract is a valid option, but choosing to self-publish because you want to self-publish instead is also a valid option. And to those of you who are choosing to self-publish, or who feel guilty about self-publishing, or who didn't know it was a real option, or who are feeling like a failure because you get turned down by traditional publishers and agents and you can't get where you wanted to go, I'm here to alleviate some of that stress by talking about some really great pros of self-publishing. So let's get started. To start off, I'd like to discuss why I took the leap and finally started self-publishing. I've discussed this a little bit on my page before, but I think the details are very important here. I was submitting to traditional publishers for 2 years before I finally decided to self-publish. And every single time I got the same rejection. Well, one of two. Two rejection. Two of the same type of rejection from every agent, every publisher, everyone. One, very good writing, but it's not what we're looking for right now. Okay. Two, without having read any of it, your word count is a little high. That's not what we're looking for lengthwise. Cut 1,000 words and get back to us. Now here was the issue I had with that. If they had read the book and said, hey, content-wise, we think you could speed it up here a little bit. Pacing-wise, let's drive some of these points home. Let's cut a little bit of that out. Let's shorten and tighten up those beginning chapters. Let's go. I would have been fine with that. If they had given me content edits, fine. I would be happy to discuss those. But when you pick an arbitrary number, a page count, a word count, a size that you think art is supposed to be because it's what's marketable or sellable now, I take great issue with that. That is, to me, not worth cutting my manuscript up for. An arbitrary number. A number that, while marketably proven to work and sell well, has nothing to do with my actual book. As a matter of fact, 9 times out of 10, the feedback I've gotten from readers is give me more of it. My book as a young adult epic, not a young adult quick and easy, was bridging genres. It was meant to be a little more melodious. It was meant to meander. It was about world building and Lord of the Rings-esque wander into new and strange places. That's great. There are plenty of authors out there who do that. I did not like being told what to do by a number. I don't do math for that reason also. Bad joke. So, I reached out to my mentor about it and I asked, hey, is this worth doing? I took the original note that I've been given by an agent about aging Fox and Lie up a couple years. I took that note because they were right. I was reading more middle grade and I wanted to be YA. So I aged him. Great. Phenomenal. Do not regret that change at all. A good change. They were right. But with this, I said, hey, what do I do about this? Do you think my book is too long? He said, for the readers who are going to love it, no. Absolutely not. Don't listen to them. I was like, good, I didn't want to listen to them. And he was the one who told me, hey, I think you can actually try and self-publish this. You don't have to listen to that. It's your story, it's your book. You write until it's done. You don't write based on an arbitrary count. So I don't. That was my biggest reason for stopping the search and jumping into an indie lifestyle. I was also pushed by some health issues of mine. I didn't want to wait anymore. I didn't want to wait until I had the perfect version of my career, selling books and having advances and living off of the advances and writing them because no. I made a change, then took a leap of faith because I thought I was dying. I thought I had cancer, the same cancer that killed my mom. I was terrified. And I realized in that moment of existential dread that I didn't want to sit around and wait for the perfect version of an author career. I didn't want to wait to be discovered. I didn't want to wait to have somebody find me. I was going to go out there and find my own place and carve my own spot. So I did. And I'm here to tell you, all of those are valid reasons to jump. But let's talk about some other great things about self-publishing. 1. You have much more creative control over your story and everything. Ooh, so much more. I got to pick my cover art. I found an artist that I loved working with, and I got to decide what it looked like. I got to pick my inside map art. That was done by my dad. That was a very special thing to us. We got to build this world together and make it whatever we wanted. Interior formatting, chapter titles, book title and series titles, I got to pick. Do you know that doesn't always happen in traditional publishing? You could find a title you love and have them go, nope. Or alternatively, you could write 3 books in a series and have them only want to buy 1. And then they own the rights to that and you can't just keep going. With the creative control in my hands, not only did I pick what the book looked like and felt like, I got to pick matte versus gloss on my covers. I get to pick if I'm gonna have a dust jacket or not. Like dumb little things that I love deciding. I get to decide. But I also get to decide the content. I get to decide my chapter titles. I get to decide how long each chapter is. No more of that arbitrary number crap. I write until the story's done. Not everyone's going to love it, but you know what? Not everybody loves traditionally published things either. We can tell. There are some bestsellers who have horrible reviews. I have read bad bestsellers before. So have you. I know you have. Most of the time, that's one of the biggest driving forces between going to self-publishing is, if that gets traditionally published and I can't, why would I keep trying to fight to be traditionally published? That is garbage. But we're not here to point names at other people, because I have some names I could drop and that will make me enemies very quickly. And that's dumb. It's a dumb thing to do. I'm not gonna do it. So creative control is huge. It is your art. It is your baby. You should believe in it. You should be willing to fight for it. And sometimes the best way to fight for that is take it off on your own and make it something special. Yes, listen to the pros. Listen to editors. Listen to proofreaders. Listen to artists who say, this cover will not sell the way you want me to make it. May I please suggest this? Listen to experts in the field. That's very important. But know where to draw the line for you. For your own creative compass, you have to know what you're willing to give up and what you're willing to fight for. I gave up the original age of my main characters. I thought that was a good decision. They were right. Actually, I gave up my original main character. These books, Fox was not originally my MC. He was my main character's mentor 30 years in the future. And then my mentor started reading it, and he is in the traditional publishing industry, and went, this guy's not your main character. That kid Fox is. And I was like, that's a lie. Then I went home and kept trying to write for 2 weeks, and then I realized he was right. I changed the whole series, and it's better for it. So, absolutely listen to pros. But you have to know your line. You have to know your line. Creative control. Sometimes the only thing of value we have at the beginning is the art itself. 2, royalties. Let's talk about money. Because there's not a lot of it at first. But that's not all bad news, okay? The biggest difference between indie royalties and traditional royalties is volume. Traditional publishers have access to more markets. Their PR department, their agents, their managers, the ability to just have book tours set up for them, that's huge. That's an enormous amount of work that a lot of indie authors don't have time to do. Because to keep up with the volume of sales, we have to write more in a year than traditionally published authors do. Often they'll let a year or two go by between books. I've been publishing 2 books a year since I started because I have to. I have to keep up. However, per book, I actually technically make more than a lot of traditionally published authors. If I'm making $1.20 per physical book sale and they're making 30 cents, If I could sell as many books as them, I'd be doing very well for myself. Again, it's much harder to sell as many books, but all the royalties come back to me. Granted, I'm publishing through Amazon, so they keep part of it, but they only keep part of it. If I was going through a big publisher, that would go to my agent, my publisher, my PR, my manager. So many people would share the royalties with me. Yes, self-publishing is putting up everything yourself up front. If you believe in yourself and your product, that's where it's going to pay off. That's why it's so important to put out a worthy product. That's why my 4 Pillars of Self-Publishing series is going to be so helpful for you. You have to put out a product that not only you believe in, but a product that's going to be worthwhile to readers. That's hard to do sometimes. If you just want to publish to say that you published and you don't care about making your money back, go for it. Have fun. If you want to publish to actually be making a living, you're going to want to pay attention to a lot of other things besides just, yes, I'll make $1 per sale. I'm just going to sell hundreds of books a day. It's very hard work to do that. I sold 100 books in a day like twice, and it was a miracle both times. It was amazing. It was amazing. I long for that feeling again. But it's a lot of hard work to be an indie author. However, if you can keep up with the traditionally published authors who are in front of bigger audiences, you can make a very good living for yourself. I know plenty of indie authors who are making their entire living, and they're living well. They are comfortable. They are raising 5 children. Like, they are doing fine. It's beautiful. It's great. It's great to know that you're getting everything back yourself. Speaking of royalties also, did you know most traditional publishers send you your royalties like twice a year? That's not enough times. It's all in a big lump. I get paid monthly from all of the venues. Anywhere that carries my books. Apple Books, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, those all come to me monthly. And I get a direct deposit every single month. I can budget in advance. I know 2 months out what I'm getting. Because it's a slight delay. It's like a month delay. But I then still get paid monthly. As long as I have made sales, I get them. That's very helpful to know that you can scatter it throughout the year instead of just one lump sum of this. Now I have to budget it for 6 months. Helpful. Very good and helpful. Reason number 3, lifestyle control. The only deadlines when you're self-published are self-imposed. It's only my fault if I don't release a book on time, and yes, I should be keeping to some kind of strict schedule, but it is not a publisher getting mad at me if life gets in the way and I have to delay something. It's just me. It's just me suffering. It's not damaging a business relationship. That's huge. Same thing with public appearances. There are plenty of authors who hate public appearances, and because of that, they have trouble being sold. Public is part of it for them, for a lot of them. Book tours and all those things is the hype. If you're a quiet, bookwormish, wallflower, shy person and you don't want to do events, you don't have to do events. Unless you hire a PR manager who's going to force you to do a book tour, as an indie and self-published author, you don't have to do that. As traditionally published, the pressure is going to be a lot greater for you to have a specific image. You may not always enjoy doing so. You might not like going and talking on the radio. You may not like doing news interviews. You may not like talking to real people. But you also may not have the discipline to churn out books at the speed they want you to. Being in control of your own life and your own schedule and being your own boss is great. It's very hard, though. You gotta have a certain oomph to be able to drive yourself all the time, to make those goals. It's very hard. I'm still learning that. But I like that no one's getting mad at me every day. That they're not like, Caitlin, where are your pages, where are your chapters? But I don't know. Like, it's a struggle. So especially if you're still like working a 9 to 5, self-publishing in India is a good time because you can put out books whenever you damn well please. I'm beholden to no one. It's great. There are so many other reasons that are great to self-publish. You're the only one who holds the copyright. You get to decide what your merch is if you want to put out other stuff on the side. You don't have to worry about if book 1 doesn't sell, will I not be able to write book 2? You can do it all you want. You can release things early. You can pick your audiobook narrator. You can, if you're like me and you're also an actor, narrate it yourself. I cannot stress enough, if you don't have an acting background, I don't care that people like to listen to you read. Please don't narrate your own books unless you're a trained performer of some kind. Please hire somebody. I'm here for you. Or I can direct you to someone else. Thank you. But you have so much more control over what you get to do with your world and your books. It's going to be harder to find an audience, yes, but at the end of the day, you getting to be your own boss and make the kind of magic you want to make is great. There may not be a market out there for the kind of book that you want to write yet, but carving out your own market in the indie industry, there's always going to be somebody there who wants to read that specific thing. People who started writing reverse harem novels had no idea how big they were going to be. Just huge. And there are authors, self-published and indie, making a killing in that romance subgenre right now. The billionaire genre took off. It is dominating the market right now. And it feels like writing bad fan fiction about yourself and your boss. It just does. And you know what? They make a whole entire living off writing those things that feel self-indulgent, that wouldn't necessarily sell in an elevator pitch, but they sell really well in Kindle Unlimited. You can choose to illustrate it. You can choose to make a companion novel. You can choose to put in 19 maps. You can choose to release it as a serial series and just small bits at a time, a few chapters. You can make your own side thing with a Patreon and release chapters early, which you might not be able to do if you're contractually obligated to stay quiet by a publisher. You can share parts of your world that you never would be able to if you were in the traditional market. It's hard to be here as a self-published and indie author. It is not easy being the little guy. It's just not. But it's very rewarding when it works. Can you think of a pro that I have missed on great reasons to self-publish? Let me know in the comments. Share with your friends. And, if any of these helped you feel a little better about starting this journey, let me know. Until then, get out there and make some magic.